How you doing? You alright? Welcome back to On the Sideline. This is Kerr, and today we are looking at a little tutorial, Football Manager 21, 5 ways to improve your results. Because Football Manager 21 is definitely a game where you can find yourself with results not going your way in a bad streak, and you can find yourself getting sacked quite quickly if you're not able to turn it around. Now, I'm definitely not an expert of Football Manager 21. I've got about 60 hours on record, but I just thought I would pass along, a few things I noticed with Football Manager 21 that seem to be quite effective in terms of the results. So I just thought I'd pass those things on to you, and maybe you're a new player, or maybe you're a bit more of a veteran player, but you really are struggling with results, and you need something to shake it up that you might not have seen before. So this is my top 5 ways to improve your results on Football Manager 21. Let's get straight into it with number 1, which for me is tactics and formation. Now, obviously that's a pretty simple thing to say. I've just started with RB Leipzig. I'm a few games into the season. It's going pretty well so far. But one thing I noticed this is sort of my third save this year. I did a couple seasons with Barrow, and I took them from League 2 to the Championship in 2 seasons. And what I noticed this year is the way you set out your players is very, very important. And what I mean by that is when you take it's most important when you take over a team, because you start your with your new team, you get offered your different tactical styles when you pick your tactic. So first of all, you need to think about what you've agreed with your board. Have you agreed to play attacking football? Have you not agreed any terms of what formation you can play? Secondly, you need to decide if you are a manager that wants to pick one style of football, sort of like, Bielsa, Guardiola. Are you someone that wants to pick one way of playing and just stick to that? Or are you someone who is going to look at your players, maybe chop and change depending on how the results are going? Because both of these things can be effective, but if you want to just pick one style, you need to be a bit more patient and expect things maybe to not go your way from the start while the players build familiarity with the formation. So you pick your tactic. I pick Gegenpress with Leipzig because they've got a lot of young, natural fit players, which is important. And then you're obviously offered a few different formations. You can pick other ones. But what I really want to emphasize on is picking your formation tactics is that when you press confirm and you pick this tactic, what you need to check is that all this formation has already the roles picked for you. So it has ball-playing defenders, it has wing-backs, it has a box-to-box midfielder and a Carrillo, a deep-lying playmaker, 2 inside forwards, and a pressing forward. Now, you might then go into this after that and start changing around. So you might think, oh, well, actually, Poulsen's better at target man. Oh, Forsberg is fine at inside forward, same as Sabitzer. Oh, Almo, he's not very good at Carrillo. He's good at advanced playmaker, which is fine. You can change these things. You can chop and change, but you have to understand that when you pick this preset, tactical Gegenpress, for example, all of these positions are made for this formation to work and to come together successfully. So when you change everything and you start, you start changing, let's go fullbacks instead, and you start sort of playing to people's strengths, which is fine, but you need to just keep in mind that you are changing the tactic. It's no longer sort of the exact Gegenpress, because all the, I'm not really sure what to call these, the actual, so these are positions that they're playing, and then these are the style of play that you want them to play, the role. So the roles are very important, and when you're changing all of the roles, you're actually changing the tactic. So just keep that in mind. When you're changing these positions, you're changing how the tactic is going to work, and that might sort of make the Gegenpress less effective, because this formation is set out to be a Gegenpress, win the ball quickly, push forward. And when you're changing all of the roles might not fit in with that tactic so well. So it's definitely good to experiment. It's definitely good to try different things and just see where the results are for you. You definitely need to be patient and see what's coming in for you. And secondly, as I mentioned, if you've promised a style to the board, like you've promised to play attacking football, then make sure you're picking a positive. Don't pick a counter-attack formation, let's say, because they're not going to be impressed with that, and you're going to end up making the players unhappy and the board unhappy, and sooner rather than later you might see yourself getting the boot. So yeah, number 1, tactics and formation. Get that nailed down, and yeah, we'll go from there. So now moving over to number 2, might be something that's a bit obvious, but it's keep the squad happy. Now, Happiness in Football Manager is very important because it affects how the players play on the pitch. It affects how the players affect the other players in the team. So it's really, really important to keep the squad well gelled and to keep them happy. So there's a few ways you can go about this. Obviously, playing the players in their correct position increases their happiness. Playing them often, there's many things like training, treatment, club management and playing time. So playing time is an obvious one. If you've told them they're going to be the star player and you're benching them every game, they're going to get unhappy quickly. So make sure you stick to the stuff you've agreed in the contracts where you can. And something else I'd like to say is that if you are going to upset a player, have a look at how influential they are. If they're just an influential player, if I've decided that, Hadira, for example, I'm not really playing him too much at the moment. If he's unhappy because of his playing time, it's not going to make the rest of the squad unhappy. But if I start dropping Poulsen or Sabitzer and they get unhappy, that's going to spread through the squad quickly, and that's going to make for a very, very unhappy squad. And it's very important because happiness really does affect how the players play on the pitch. So that's why it's so important in terms of your results. So make sure to keep the players happy. One more thing with happiness is that you can promise things to a player. So, if you've offered them a new contract, if you've told them that you'll improve the squad in your attackers or your midfielders, if you promise a player that, make sure to keep it. Because if you blow that promise, the chances are their happiness is going to go from, for example, really good down to very, very bad. And if you promise to a hierarchy like the team leaders, if you make them a promise and you don't keep it, all of the players will become unhappy that you've not kept it with them. And you'll get like emails coming in saying, "Oh, do you want to sit down with the team and explain to them what's happened?" And yeah, it's really a nightmare, and the performance on the pitch will drop significantly. So make sure to keep the players happy, and take a look at your hierarchy, take a look at who the most important people are, and keep them the happiest, because that spreads down the tiers. So yeah, that's number 2, happiness. So moving on now from the happiness, we go into number 3, which is transfers. Manage your transfers, please, because it is so vital how you spend your money with your team. Now, of course, you're getting scouting reports very often, and really, these scouting reports are 99% just rubbish. I've just sort of I've played for a couple of weeks to build up the scout report, and let's have a look here. So I'm playing with Leipzig. We've already got a good squad, so we only want to sign, either really good players for a good price, or like youngsters with really big potential. So I've already got Gulashi in goal. So I could sign this guy as a backup keeper, but look, he's valued at 6 mil. They're going to want 10 to 23. That's awful. That's such a high amount of money. No. Okay. We've got a central midfielder here, 3-star, potential 3.5-star. Again, a lot of money. No. You only really want to get bargains. So when you go through these scout reports, you're going to get 1 or 2 that maybe are decent, where they've sort of found the end of the contract, or a player's been transfer listed for a cheap price. When you find that, get it. But it's really not very often. So what I recommend to improve your results is not just to look at scout reports, what they send you. What you need to do is use a bit of your own initiative. And what I mean by that is, if you're managing a big team, then you probably already know players in real life. And if you don't, go and take a look at the top teams, within the game. Go and have a look at Real Madrid. Go and have a look at Man United. Just go and see, who they're looking for. Go and see if what other players are wanted by big clubs. And if not, you've got the internet. You can look up wonder kids that you can get for a good price. There's plenty of videos out there telling you good wonder kids you can pick up for the future. I'm sure there's sort of top deals you can find on FM21. You also get emails from your team letting you know sort of at the end of the year, big players whose contracts are expiring. So that's always a good way to try and get someone on a free. Now, if you're playing with a lower league team where you're not going to know players in the leagues around you and who's best and stuff, what I recommend is, this is what I was doing when I was managing Barrow in League 2. Take a look at sort of Tottenham, Chelsea, Premier League, or maybe high-end Championship teams, and look at their under-23s team and just try and get a few of their players on loan. If you can get a few, 800k, 1.2 value players on loan, they will start every game for your team and they will be fantastic. I had a player, I think Neil Bennett, or something like that, from Tottenham. He's still playing for me now at Barrow in the Championship, and he's been 4-star winger. He's done great for me every season, and it's only been loans. Now, I think you be careful because you have a maximum of 5 loan players in your squad at once. But if you're playing for a lower league team, I always recommend, until you get a bit higher and you get a bit more budget, just loan top players, and just put your money into wages. So yeah, to improve your results, it's very important where you spend your money, because what you can do on the other side of it is start buying sort of 2.5-star, 3-star players that you don't need. 5 million here, 10 million there. Before you know, you've spent most of your budget and you've just got nothing in your first team to really show for it. You've got you need to either sign players that are going straight into your starting 11, or if you've really got no depth, obviously you can get a bench player. But what you really want to do is get straight into your starting 11, or players that are going to be developing for the future. So really youngsters. Don't sign, a 21-year-old that's got 2-star ability, 3-star potential for 6 or 7 million. It's just no point. He's never going to get any game time and doesn't work for anyone. So yeah, number 3. Transfers. Manage your transfers effectively. So yeah, we'll move on now. So on to number 4 now. We're going to be looking at training. Now, training is something that is very important in Football Manager. And most people, as far as I'm aware, just leave it to the assistant manager to do it, or to leave it to another member of staff to do it, because you look at this training, it's a little bit confusing, and it looks like it's being done well on its own. But that is a bit of a facade, because most of the assistant managers, unless you're at a huge club, they're actually not doing the right sort of training you want. So many people just leave the assistant manager to sort the training out, and they don't actually understand the negativity that can have on your team. Not that necessarily they're always going to do an awful job. It's different for every club. It's different for every save. But I can guarantee you that if you put a bit of effort into do it yourself, you'll see far better results than leaving it to your assistant manager. Now, when you take a look at the training screen, it's a little bit overwhelming. But there are some key things to look out for. So number 1 is, if you want to do some training for your upcoming matches, you can look at match preparation, and anything that has upcoming match means that training session will affect the next match. And this is also in set pieces. When you're looking at attacking free kicks, so if you want to do training sessions that will affect the next game, be sure to look for upcoming match in the impacts. And if it doesn't have that, it's not. If it doesn't have that, then it's not for that. So, I mean, I could spend probably 20 minutes talking about how to sell your training, but I won't do that now. But feel free to look up on YouTube training, guides for Football Manager 21, because honestly, the training is so important. There are so many different options, and there's so much to get into. So yeah, I'm just making this point here because if you want to improve your results, you need to manually do the training. If you're seeing bad results, get stuck into the training. Watch a 20-30 minute video on YouTube. I'll try and link one in the description that teaches you how to do training, and I promise you will see huge results from that alone. So yeah, number 4, training. And moving on now to number 5. We've got something a little bit cheesy here for number 5, but what I've wrote down for number 5 is just play the game. And what I mean by that is, you can sort of look up so many videos and stuff like that, but what you really need to do is with your team, you need to get through matches, because you're only going to learn more about your players, more about your team, more about the transfer market by just playing the game. And you need to have experiences, you need to learn from them, and that's the only way you're going to improve. Like what I just spoke about in number 3, for example, with managing your transfers. I'll never forget when I signed my first season at Barrow, I just sort of went on a spree in mid-season of just sort of agreeing deals. And then when it got to January, there was 7 new signings coming in. And honestly, 6 of them were like 2-star players that don't even get into the team. And I just thought, what have I just spent this money on? An absolute waste. So yeah, learn from your mistakes, play the game. And if you ever start with a save and it doesn't go well, just keep playing. And as I said with the tactics, if you're a manager that wants to stick to one style of play, you need to give players time to adapt to that style. So just play the game, get through the matches, and yeah, learn more about it. Make sure you tuck into everything, get involved with the training, as I said, with the tactics. Make sure the players are happy, and yeah, you'll definitely be sorted out for success if you do all those steps. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you taking time to get to the end of the video. I hope you learned something for Football Manager. And if you did, please drop a like and drop a subscribe to the channel. And yeah, and let me know your feedback below. Would you like to see more of this? Would you like to see an in-depth training guide? Let me know what you want to see. Thanks, guys. This has been Kurt. This is On The Sideline. And yeah, speak to you soon. Have a nice Christmas, everyone. Bye-bye.